Yeah, I love it when the internet just completely kills me here. Jesus. All right, so it's going to be one of these kinds of days. Oh my God. All right, well, listen. If I go away, then our guests are just going to have to. I was a morning show producer in radio, so it's just do this, go. So I'm going to figure out what's going on with this. I've got like 2 gig up and down internet. So I don't know what the hell's going on here. So there we go. Come on now. Come on. Be a good internet for me. All right. How's that for professionalism? How's everyone doing? Jesus God. Welcome. So why are we here, Indie Agency News? Well, our brief is very simple. We're here to build the global home for independent agencies. The mission is to serve indies and the brilliant people behind them. Our goal is more visibility for indies and more choice for marketers. One thing that we've been doing recently is, if you remember, you get 15-minute consulting sprints. And we are a visibility platform. I don't know why. We're a visibility, move my hand, visibility platform. And so what does that mean? Well, it means we want to tell your story, and we want to be able to use all these different pieces for you to raise your visibility so that people get to know you, especially marketers. One of the ways into that is awards. And I'm looking at, we're evaluating a lot of Ad Age small agency entries. We've done 5 of them so far. I think we got like 3 or 4 more today. But here's the thing. We don't care where you get visibility as long as you get it. If that means that you want to be an Ad Age or Ad Week or the Drummer campaign, send us the pitch. We want that for you too. There are other ways that we can continue to tell the story if and when you get a hit. But yeah, our whole thing, we want you to win those awards. And we had a great session with Cannes Lions yesterday. You can look at it on LinkedIn. And we're going to break it down into a few pieces, either later today or early next week. So anyway, we really deeply care about what visibility means for you. And then coming up, we do have our top 40 design. We are finishing up the voting. And so the week of the 21st, we are going to start counting them down. We're going to be doing live streams where we bring in our winners. We don't tell them where they placed. It's like a little reveal. And then the week of the 28th, we're going to be visiting the markets of the top 3 winners. Now, listen, if a winner is somewhere far afield, we might just figure out a different date. Let's just everything is subject to change. Let's put it that way. Speaking of far field, one of the early members of Indie Agency News, Meryl Draper from Quirk Creative, she has been a friend of mine for a very, very long time, and I'm incredibly grateful that she's one of the early supporters. This time last year, we had about 75 members. Now we're close to 230. So Meryl was one of that early group to say, yeah, you know what? I believe in this mission. And I believe in indies. But I really appreciate the OGs coming in, especially people I've known for a very long time. And then Meryl told me, hey, heads up. We got a new CEO in ECD. I said, yeah, cool. Let's talk to him. So without further ado, I got, here. So when I was in radio, and Mike, we're going to talk about Portland here in a second. So when I was in radio, so I was, people are familiar with Ebro from Hot 97 and Apple Music. And then we had Mario doing afternoons, Alexa, who just passed away recently, sadly, doing middays. But we had this thing, Dante did nights, Freeze did nights. But there's this thing where you would stand. So just imagine like a big broadcast area, and you would stand on the other end of the studio, and you would find things to throw at the DJs while they were talking. I mean, it was like soft things. It's not like you're going to like take an anvil and throw it at them. But we used to do that all the time to see if anybody would break. And so it reminded me when the internet stream went sideways, it reminded me of that. So it threw me just a little bit, but I tried to keep things on the rails. So so there you go. I promise I won't throw anything at you too. But first of all, congratulations. Huge mazel tov on this one. Meryl's lovely. I mean,
she's amazing. So is Galen, her husband and co-founder.
Yeah. No, they're fantastic, and they're over in France right now. And you are in Manhattan, Bennett and Mike, you're in your Upper West Side. Bennett's over in Greenpoint. I'm in Portland. I mean, this is like a hipster thing. But Mike, I want to start with you because we did talk a little bit about your experience in Portland. So I want to get both of your backgrounds, but Mike, I want to kick it off with you because you have a very interesting background.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I worked in Portland for years. I was at Wieden Kennedy from 96 to 2000, and I had an embarrassment of riches as far as creative directors are concerned. I mean, I got to work with some of the best people, in the history of our industry, actually. Jim Riswold, who, God bless him, obviously left this earth recently, which is really sad. But also Jamie Barrett and Stacey Wall, Hal Curtis, Chuck McBride, Jimmy Smith, Jerry Cronin, the list goes on and on, Jonathan Cood. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, I literally just walk down the hallway in the office and, bring somebody a brief and I get back incredible work. It was like going to graduate school.
Right. My favorite story about Riswold, and again, we miss him dearly. One of the best things I heard about him was, and I'm trying to remember who told me this. I can't remember exactly who told me, but somebody brought in a brief for a client, and he took it and he ripped one side, ripped another side, ripped a third side, ripped a fourth side. He had a piece of paper, maybe like this part, and he looked at everybody and said, "This is all we need," and then walked away. I was like, man, that I love that.
That sounds about right. Yeah, he pretty much approached every brief that way, actually, and that was his brilliance. Actually, he could distill down a lot into a little that made a lot of sense, that really stood out and just really grabbed people by the heartstrings.
Yeah, well, heartstrings or balls or both. So it's both. He was just, and I think about, and I became friendly with Dan Wieden through Caldera, and so that's really where we met. But what was really interesting is it was just that idea of that coaching tree or a talent tree. So what Dan and Dave did, and then what Jim did, and just seeing all of those people on all of those branches, it's remarkable. And you see the same with Jeff and Rich at Goodby. You see the same with Lee Clow. It's just there. It's remarkable to see, and it does give us it gives us more hope, I think, when we and I don't think we're nostalgic about it, but the context of saying, hey, this is how we simplified things, and something like Riswold just doing that, to me, is it's a reminder that sometimes we overcomplicate things. Bennett, you come to us from the director world, so tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I'm before this was directing, and before that was kind of creative directing and branded content world. So was able to kind of write my own briefs and then bring them to life. And that's obviously what we do at Quirk, is kind of do the creative and then actually make the thing. So I think, after having had some good years of getting to do some interesting things, I think when this came along, it became exciting to me to explore this model of just making everything in one place, because from my experience, the best creative directors kind of could direct it, and the best directors could write the ideas. So the idea of kind of, and I like the idea of kind of challenging the old model a bit.
Right.
And in my experience, it's always been really good for brands when one person has kind of walked through the whole thing.
Right.
That's a better experience.
No, I agree. And Mike, listen, I'm looking at your CV here, and I know we touched on Portland, but oh my God, Modernista. Oh my God. Oh, the Boston people miss that. You have JWT, Arnold, frickin' Arnold. Was Pam Hamlin there at Arnold?
Oh yeah, of course.
Frickin' Pam Hamlin. Frickin' GYK now. Pam fucking Hamlin. Droga when they were indie, McKinney, BBH, Here's what's really interesting to you, or interesting to me about you, is I'm looking at all of these different places, and I teach at Portland State University, and I remind students this, but I also remember younger, newer people in this business where we're given an empty toolbox, and then along the way we add tools. So I can imagine that, you started at Arnold, then you went to Fallon. Were you in Minneapolis at the
No, I
time?
was in New York.
You were in New York. Okay, but
Yeah,
Pat
it was
Fallon
actually
again.
Fallon
rest in
McElligott,
peace.
Berlin. It was the Andy Berlin days.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
you have the Minneapolis thing and New York thing, Wieden Kennedy, Portland, Modernista, Boston, JWT, Arnold, Boston, Droga, Aussie, oi, 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 McKinney, North Carolina, BBH, London, Forsman and Bodenfors, Nordic, Scandinavia, Sweden. It's fascinating to me. Talk a little bit about how you've built that toolbox, all of those stops along the way. I have to imagine that there were all of these really interesting experiences that were familiar, but maybe different along the way.
Yeah, the similarity was the creativity was actually at the heart of everything. It was the focus
Mhm.
for everybody who worked there, not just the, creative department, but everybody, account people, strategy people in production, even people in finance. They really were there for that reason. So that's what drew me to those places. That's what they all shared. But then, they had different approaches too. I think you talked about like the talent tree, definitely at Wyden. I think it epitomized that. Obviously, you mentioned Goodby and Silverstein. I never worked there, but obviously they did a great job of that. But also, so did Fallon, and I'd say, David Droga 5 as well. I mean, so many of David's creatives have gone on and led different
Right.
creative agencies, and they're doing that today too. So I think it is. The thing that they all share is that passion and love for creativity, and knowing that creativity can solve business issues, and then really kind of teaching that and having others kind of grab that and pay it forward. So
Right. Yeah.
those are the commonalities, but there are lots of differences too, lots of different approaches, but lots of shared success across the way too. I mean,
Yeah.
for BBH, for instance, I was so lucky I got to actually spend time with John Haggerty. I mean,
Love him.
He's a legend. He's not only so talented, but he's just such a wonderful human being.
Oh,
And when I was at BBH
best.
in New York, we were lucky enough, we won the Grand Prix for integrated Lion for House of Cards for Netflix. There's
I remember that.
it was
Yes.
called FU 2016. Frank
Yeah.
Underwood,
Yeah.
2016, yep. Great campaign. And John
But if we
presented us
knew
with
back then what we know now.
yeah, I know, right? All around, in front
Right.
of the camera, behind the camera, everything.
Right. But John is lovely. You're right.
John was great, and John, actually had the the honor of handing us out the award.
Oh,
and,
God.
that was just magnificent too. So it was great.
Yeah. I got a chance to spend time with him in London, and he's so great. There's no notes to, 14 out of 10. He's the best. And he's always just so kind. I remember we were at Cannes one year, not to sound like an asshole, but I was at Cannes, and I'm walking one way, he's walking the other. I'm like, John, and he stares at me for a second. I'm like, Edwig Zanger. He's like, oh yeah. He knows so many people, but like, he paused, and he has this genuine warmth. And here's the thing about him is that I've always appreciated is he's always been very willing to give, very, very willing to give. He's very aware of his history. He's very aware of where he is in this industry, but he never took it for granted. And I just love the fact that he is continually teaching. And I think that can't be anything but great. So John, hope to see you again in London. You're a mensch. We love you. Well, I feel like I'm ending the show here. Bennett, the most important experience based upon me looking at you is your time at Lehman Brothers. Don't worry. I started in banking too. I started at the Bank of Tokyo. So here we are.
Really?
Yeah.
What was your experience there like?
Well, I was a glorified teller. So, an operations person. No, it was great. I loved working at a Japanese company. I love the culture. But here, so, okay, I'm trying to go through. You've won, how many Cannes Lions have you won? 30, 50, 80?
Just the one.
How many Super Bowl ads have you done?
I've done one.
Which one?
It was a USPS ad, the postal service.
And what year?
That was last year.
Okay. Which After I left Adweek, I was like, Super Bowl. Okay, fine. All right, we're gonna go back and look at it. Who was in it? What was? I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was a big concept around the USPS kind of operating like a clock. So
right. Yes.
we built this big CG clock
Yes.
world, and the idea was when the agency brought it to us, there were kind of people standing on top of cogs.
Yep.
And it was a B2B campaign. It was meant to get people signed up with USPS Grand Advantage. So it was kind of personifying the cogs. It was like giving it a business, going to a road cog, and then like different cogs for different parts of the system, and dropping at a customer's home.
Now I remember. Thank you for that. What was your first line?
What was my
what was your first line?
So I got it for a music video I made with some friends. And I got it. It was kind of stupid to enter. I'd kind of gone into the YDA in previous years, and then I felt like there was something cool about this, and then I saw the price of entering it, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll enter it once and like see what, if I get shortlisted, it will be worth it. Right. And then I found out 2 days before that it had won gold, and then
unreal.
Yeah, it was very early on in my career, and then my French rep kind of FaceTimed me in. So I'm like, there's a screenshot of me being FaceTimed in receiving the line when I'm like 25 years old.
That's amazing. You know, it's funny. I won a Radio Mercury Award, cash prize, by the way. So there's that. Thank you, Radio Advertising Bureau, for that. I did it as an afterthought too. I was like, the one that I thought was going to be the one that won. It's like, yeah, this one's going to win. And I was like, oh, this one, screw it. Let me put it in. And it won. And I think that's a lesson too, is that sometimes we get so super focused on what we believe is going to be that pony that wins the race, that we forget there are other horses on the track as well. There's a nice little metaphor considering the Grand National is this weekend. Let's talk about why you we've touched a little bit on the marvelousness of the founders of the agency. And Mike, I want to start with you.
Sure.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with them and how you decided, like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah, you know, first and foremost, I just really liked Marilyn Galen as people. I just find them to be really direct and transparent. So that was important to me. And, you know, they built the business for 10 years, and they acknowledged the fact that for the last, 4 or 5, they remained around the same size, and they're looking for someone to come in and help grow it. And so we talked about that a lot and what that meant, and not for just the sake of growth, but how to maintain, the culture and the quality of the work and so forth, but how do we extend that outward? So they really, they've handed me the keys, they handed me the reins, and just have a lot of trust and faith in me. So that says a lot, I think. And, they've actually stepped away. I started 3 months ago, and they've stepped away from the day-to-day operations. So they still retain ownership, but they've allowed Bennett and I to come in and actually run the business. So that's just a really nice opportunity. And, they share the same ambitions that, Bennett and I share, which is why I hired Bennett, is to, improve our work and make it great and get recognized for our work. So that's really the opportunity. What I love the most is our model. I mean, the way that we have, so the people that come up with our creative ideas are commercial directors, and our commercial directors ideate, and then they shoot. And then we have in-house, we've all post-production. We have editors and VFX, technicians and colorists, that do everything for us. So we're able to do things really efficiently, really effectively, and actually pass that efficiency and also cost savings onto our clients too. We're doing like really nice work in like anywhere from like 9 to 12 weeks, and can turn that around from signing the contract to actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're jamming.
That's nice. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot.
So the model is really part of it, in the people. So
it starts with the people. It really does. Models can be tweaked, but people really are the foundation of it. So Bennett, Mike comes to you and says, all right, kid, what was that conversation like? And how easy of a yes was it?
I looked up Mike and I was like, whoa,
Right.
So yeah, this guy's got some cachet. So I think, yeah, I think it's exactly as Mike says. It was the people on the team. It's interesting as we were talking about these advertising greats. Like it's nice to look up to them, but it's also not good to idolize them. Like it's
Yes.
nice to be
Yes.
aware that, you know, you could be at the beginning of your career and not have things on the wall yet, and
Yep.
you have just as much potential.
Yep.
And I felt there was just like a humility yet hunger within the team of creatives that I get to lead, and that to me, I believe more in process than kind of like star players, especially.
Yep.
It's interesting. I was actually reflecting, like there is. I don't know anything that's more true than anyone in creative, because there is no objective truth in like what is good.
Yeah.
So it is only just, it's about discovering your process, and like especially for commercial directors, having directed myself, it was like teaching them how to play the instrument that only they know how to play.
Great
And like
analogy.
helping them develop the craft, the language, their
Right.
sensibilities. That was exciting to me, especially from like coming from directing, which is can be very self-focused, of just like,
Sure.
how do I crush this piece for my reel? How do
Right.
I
Right.
get the next one? How do I nail it? And which I don't think it's kind of, you know, it's better to be giving than it is truly to be building yourself. And then and doing that for other younger creatives started to really excite me. And then Mike's leadership, I was like, you know, Mike was like, hi, and I was like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the model I really believed in. You know, I've created last year as well. I was directing, and then I would creative direct and then direct projects for the same client that I was creative directing for.
Right. Right.
And I'd just be like, why don't we just do this at the same place?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I like your point of view on that, because we do tend to we have in the past a lot with the idolization. One of the biggest mantras that I live by is take pride, not credit. And that's really, really important, especially because, again, the lens I'm looking through is Portland State University. And here are these, you know, these young kids that are like, and I remind them, you know more about this than you realize. You just don't understand the processes. You don't understand the lingo. So intuitively, as human beings, we understand what advertising and marketing and all that stuff is. So breathe a little bit. And it's really important to impart that, because then you start getting that in the aggregate and multiples of good people being put out into our industry, which really matters. Let's, Mike, I'm going to have you answer this one.
Sure.
We're talking, let's fast forward to a year from now. This is sort of one of those bullshitty questions, but I'm going to ask it anyway. All right. A year from now, what is going to constitute success for you a year from now? What are we going to be talking about a year from now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, first and foremost, having our work be known. You know, even if, I mean, I think again, you know, the agencies I've been lucky to be a part of, Wieden & Kennedy, Droga 5, BBH, et cetera, you know, they always had like one client that they were known for, even though they did a lot of great work for a lot of clients.
Yep.
I want to be known for great work for one client to get our name recognition out there to begin with. So that's a great start. But also, you know, we want to extend our offerings to what we're doing, like in video content, into other areas too, like socials, an area we want to get into, even like some long format content as well. And then, you know, we're primarily, I guess, seen as like almost like a performance agency. And I want to, you know, continue that, but I actually want to extend us into more of branding as well, and be known for that too, and compete against, you know, some of the agencies that you're more familiar with. So that's hopefully what a year looks like from now, and some growth when it comes to, again, not revenue or number of people necessarily, but like growth as far as us as a group of people, and how we can really kind of push ourselves and actually make our work better than it's ever been before.
Right. Mike, I want to stick with you, and I'm going to have Bennett answer this second. So what should brands understand about indies, especially related to creativity, and what gives you hope for the industry about indies? Because you've gone, you know, you've done, like myself, I did a stint at IPG. What is it about indies that gives you hope? But I'm not trying to lead the witness here, but I believe creative ambition is one of those things. But what should brands understand about indies, especially related to creativity, and how it's effective and how it can solve business problems.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Creative ambition is obviously number one, but number two is that there's no bullshit with indies. I mean, we're gonna solve the problem for you, and we're gonna keep going until we get it. We're not looking to move on to the next client. I mean, you're a real partner of an indie agency. I mean, you've got the most senior people, you've got the owners involved in the business who are there to really make sure that the clients are completely happy and satisfied with what they're getting, and they're going to get effective, results and solutions too. So that's I think what I've found between the larger agencies and the smaller ones is the grind is continuous for the smaller ones because people really care and they're really passionate about it and they're fully committed.
Bennett, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, my analogy for this is always like, I used to say to friends who are creative directors, I'd say like, pick the director for whom this is their big piece. Like it's within their field of vision, like they've shown that they can do this, but this is a big deal for them. And like, I think that's the same for us. We have the capabilities to do some really good stuff where maybe the old partner, it's just like run of the mill, whatever. And when you pick that director or you pick that partner or that agency who just like treats it as you're like, oh, this is the whatever work. Someone's really hungry for that and is really good and will like give you and really care about it. And I think that's us. Like I think we're hungry, we're well positioned. We've shown that we have a lot of capabilities within our wheelhouse. So I think it's like if someone's not having a good experience, there's people who will like jump at the chance.
Right. No, I like that. I like that a lot. All right. Anything else before we call it a day here? This is great. I mean, this is fantastic. Anything else? Last word? Shameless promotion? What do you got?
What can you tell us about what you think like a good indie looks like?
Oh man. I mean, I think you really did hit it. I think it's ambition. I think it's ambition and confidence. Those are the two things that I would say. Because a lot, in my experience, and again, this is in my experience, I tell this to indies all the time. Get the word just out of your vocabulary. So let's say you're an indie in Denver, right? And so, you're doing campaign work in Colorado, for example. Instead of saying, well, we just do Colorado, it's like, no, we proudly do Colorado work. And this is high level work. I mean, I look at somebody like a Fortnite Collective, all the stuff they do for Steamboat. They do some stuff for like some other ski areas. It's excellent. I mean, it is excellent. It is world class. And they think very globally. But my point is that get the word just out, because that you have to be confident in what you're doing in that moment for that client. I don't care if it's the Greater Jefferson County pie eating contest and poetry slam jamboree. Think about this, for example. So Jeff Goodby and Rich Silverstein, I don't know if this was their first line, Mill Valley Film Festival, right? So you think about that, and it's really important for indies to remember that the work that they're doing is excellent. Yeah, it might not be global, but that doesn't matter. You're having an impact, and you're having a positive impact. So ambition and confidence. That's what I would say.
I love it.
Yeah. Bennett like threw me for a second. I was like, oh shit, I got to answer this. So now I have my answer for you. There you go.
We thank you.
All right. Yeah. No. And this is great. This is going to be fun to watch, and super, super confident that you're going to take this to the next step. And like you said, the OG crew has done such a remarkable job of getting it to this point. And most importantly, what I remind you to do is have fun with this too. Don't forget, this can be fun. Don't forget that at all.
This has been really fun. Thanks for having us.
Of course. And we'll probably dig into more work. Once you get more work out the door, we're going to talk about that as well. So Mike Bennett, I'm going to have you stand backstage. Don't hang up. This isn't a Zoom call. I'm going to wrap it up here, but thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks.
All righty. And thank you for joining us as well. If you are a member, thank you so much for your support. If you are not yet a member, go to indieagency.news. I'm very easy to get a hold of. You can hit me up on LinkedIn as well. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger. See you next time.